I believe that everyone should develop a personal philosophy of life, a personal philosophy of how to navigate the ups and downs, the troubles, the opportunities, the joys, the disappointments, the failures of life. Now, you might say, Michael, there's a bunch of different world philosophies already out there. There are bunches of different religions. Why don't you just sign up for one of them? That would be really good advice. I didn't come to my personal philosophy of life on my own. I have studied many world religions. I've done a lot of reading in philosophy, and also just life lessons that have kind of taught me what I feel are important and what are the values, I guess, that I want to make sure that I am living and holding myself accountable to every single day. So let's dive into that. I'm going to share a little bit about mine and how I came to this, but I also want you guys to think about, like, what is your personal philosophy of life? Do you have a personal philosophy of life? Or when stimuli comes into your life, do you greet everything new? Do you not have a very clear and rational way to understand the best way forward? That's really what philosophy does. All right, before we go any further, I want to read some definitions here of philosophy. So, what is philosophy? Definition: the rational investigation of truths and principles of being, knowledge, or conduct. So that's one definition. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. Here's one I like even better. Philosophy is an attitude of rationality, patience, composure, and calm in the presence of troubles and annoyances. So the way I look at it is philosophy, a personal philosophy to life, is really just a set of rules or guidance that you've agreed on in your own life, that you have said, hey, this is important to me. This is the way that I want to think through things. This is the way that I want to behave. This is the way that I want to act daily. This is a personal philosophy of life. Now, I've liberally borrowed from many of the ancient philosophies and world religions. I find things that I think make sense to me. You know, when I was in college, I got exposed to Buddhism through a world religions class, I think. And I'd always heard about it, and I knew, actually, this is going to sound funny. I knew about Buddhism through Star Wars as a kid, actually, because I had heard or watched an interview or read something that George Lucas was inspired by Buddhist monks. He kind of modeled some of those, the way that Buddhist monks behave and act, and he modeled his Jedi masters after that. So I'd always heard about Buddhism, but it was in, I think, 1998, I want to say, was when I read my first book on Buddhism. And I really kind of fell in love with the philosophy of life that Buddhism argued, that Buddhism put forward. The other reason that Buddhism really resonated with me was because, here was a religion, a world religion, that the central figure, Buddha, Siddhartha, doesn't claim that he's a god. He doesn't say that I am the descendant of God and I've got special powers and I'm gonna, do all this stuff. Now, some of the stories about Buddhism have been, changed and altered over time, and depending on what school of Buddhism or what lineage you follow, some of it is way more mystic and way more, has way more of the trappings of maybe a religion that, you might be used to. But what attracted me to Buddhism was that it was through direct experience. It was through training your mind and your emotions. That was how you found a relief from daily suffering. So, pretty much all through my mid-20s through mid-40s, I just considered myself a Buddhist at heart. Now, was I a consistently practicing Buddhist? No. Did I live up to all the precepts? No, not even close. But it was always in the back of my mind. It was always something that I tried to aspire to. But, there were things that it was missing in my opinion. So then in my mid 40s, just a few years ago, I rediscovered Stoicism. Now, Stoicism is something that it's an ancient philosophy that has kind of come back into vogue due to some famous bloggers, influencers like Tim Ferriss, Ryan Holiday, who I'm a huge fan of Tim Ferriss as well. And they have introduced kind of this new school of Stoicism. And there's a lot of really great material out there, a lot of really great books. And I've kind of gone deeply down the rabbit hole of Stoicism. And I think why it attracts me is because it's very similar to some of the thoughts and philosophy and actions and behaviors of Buddhism. So, I've taken these two schools of thought, these two, religion, philosophy, whatever you want to call them, and I've kind of melded them together in a way that I want to behave, in a way that makes sense for my life. So there's a lot, right? There's a lot in Buddhism. There's a lot in Stoicism, and I'm not going to go into pretty much any of it here, except that know that it shaped my personal philosophy, my personal motto, which I'm going to share with you now. Look, if you have followed me for any amount of time, if you've noticed my bio description on Instagram, it says, be open, be free, be gone. Now, that is something that I've been toying with over the last 5 or 6 years. And, it might sound a little corny, but I think everyone kind of needs like their own motto of life, kind of like Nike, right? Just do it. There's other various brands out there to where when you hear their motto, you just know what that brand is. And when I was thinking about like, what do I want to stand for? What is my personal brand? And again, guys, when I say personal brand, I don't necessarily mean just external, okay? I'm talking about what's also my brand for myself. What part of my personal brand resonates with myself, and I want to make sure that the internal and the external are balanced. So I couldn't just come up with something that said that sounded good to to the public or looked good in my Instagram bio. I wanted to make sure that it resonated in my everyday life. And it was a philosophy, it was a motto, it was simple, so I could follow through with it, but also that it actually spoke to the things that I believe in. So, let's break it down. So for me, be open, the first part of my personal philosophy. This is what it means to me. Okay, I'm going to explain it. So, for me, I value the gathering of wisdom and knowledge over time. And as you know, if you guys have followed me for a while, I'm an avid reader. I've got hundreds of books in my apartment. I've always got a book within reach, and I'm always consistently reading something new. And the reason I do that is because I want to always challenge my understanding of the world. I want to challenge my understanding of myself. I want to challenge my understanding of different cultures, different people, different philosophies, different ideas about the world. So for me, being open has a lot to do with being spiritually and culturally agile. And what do I mean by this? I mean that no matter my circumstances, no matter where I'm in the world, no matter who I'm with, I can navigate somewhat comfortably. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have preferences. And this goes back to Buddhism. One of the things that the Buddha said is that you should aim to have no preferences. That is one of the secrets to happiness. But I'm not there. I'm not there at all, right? I still have preferences. I still like things the way that I like them. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be more open, but it's still a challenge. I still have preferences. But what I've found is when I truly embody this notion of being open, that I am more able to navigate through different cultures, through different challenges, through different opportunities, even at work, when I have an open mind. Now, I'm an American, so I know there's going to be probably some assumptions out there when an American says be free, personal freedom, liberty, red, white, and blue, 4th of July, all of that kind of stuff. That's not actually the way I mean it. What I'm talking about is personal freedom, okay? And this has everything to do with stuff like health and fitness. Are you healthy? Do you take care of yourself? Do you eat right? That is a form of freedom, financial freedom, okay? Do you make enough money? Are you saving money? Are you investing? Are you doing the right things to make sure that you don't run out of money after retirement? Third freedom that I think about a lot is what I call like location independence. And what I mean by that is not, I'm not a digital nomad. A lot of people on YouTube are digital nomads or they work remotely, and that's not me. I have a brick and mortar job that I go to 5+ days a week, and yeah, I got to show up to work. I'm not a digital nomad. But what I mean by location independence in this case is, can you pick up and go? Or have you defined your life so narrowly to where you don't feel comfortable working in a different city, a different state, or a different country? Okay, so I've done a lot of work personally to make sure that I always remain nimble and open so I can be free, meaning I can go anywhere pretty much. I'm really open. I've lived in Vietnam before. I've lived in China now for almost 6 years. I've looked at other opportunities across the globe. It's not a whole lot of places I would not go. So that location independence is another way of thinking about freedom. All right, now why is freedom so important? So a lot of studies have shown that happiness at work, low depression rates, increased levels of, quote, happiness or fulfillment correlate to a sense of autonomy, right? Do you control your life? Or do you feel that outside influences, bosses, spouses, your country, whatever that may be, do you feel that they have more control of your life than you do? So the more control you can feel daily in your life, the happier, more fulfilled you will be. That is why I'm such a big believer in freedom. Do whatever you guys can do to maximize freedom in your life. If you're held back by debt, if you're held back by poor health, if you're held back by, an old mindset that keeps you in your hometown because you're too afraid to move, my recommendation is break those chains. First, you got to break the mental chains, then break the physical chains that is holding you back and get more freedom in your life. All right, third one. This one's kind of more personal than I think the other two. The other two probably more people can relate to, but is be gone. So we have be open, be free, be gone. So what does that mean, be gone? You can define it however you want, but for me, the way I define it in my personal philosophy of life, it's more of a challenge. And it is to remind me that I am at my best. Michael Mast, this guy, just me. Not talking about you. You do what's best for you. But this guy is at his best when he moves every 2 to 3 years. Now, what does move mean? It could be different apartments. It could be taking a different role at work. It could be changing locations of work. It could be moving cities, or it could be moving countries, okay? I don't limit it to just moving out of your country, okay? I think, being an expat living in foreign countries for, quite a bit of my adult life, I don't want to generalize with this sense of being gone, okay? And the final piece of my personal philosophy is more of a challenge to myself to always be looking for opportunities, to always be questioning myself. Am I getting stale? Am I declining? Am I getting too comfortable? So for me, when I think about the future that I want to live and the way that I want to conduct my life, I want to make sure that I'm always putting myself into growth opportunities. And to do that, I've got to move. And what that might mean is I got to move mentally, right? To take on a new opportunity. That's be open, okay? Going back. But physically, be gone for me, I love motion. I love being in motion. I love the challenge of figuring out a new city. I love the challenge of figuring out a new assignment at work. So for me, I always think like be gone, man. Like you gotta pick up and you gotta move at some point. All right, to wrap up, so be open, be free, be gone. This is my personal philosophy to living. I sprinkle in some Stoicism, I sprinkle in some Buddhism, and this allows me to navigate the challenges and failures, frustrations of life. It's not always just for bad times, though. I think that this also helps me just be a happier person in general because I don't feel so emotional. I don't feel so reactionary. I'm trying to look at the world with a very rational approach. A lot of that comes from Stoicism. But the be open, be free, be gone, that's kind of like my own personal kick in the ass. And I think we all need that. And sure, we could just adopt somebody else's motto. We could just, follow a philosophy or follow a religion. And please, I'm not being judgmental. You guys do you. If that is really what you believe in your heart, then awesome. But I would challenge you, can you take the precepts of the philosophy you already follow or the religion you already follow? And can you narrow it down? Can you pick some teachings? Can you pick some pieces of the overall religion or philosophy that really resonate to your life and stitch it to you? Tattoo it to you. Maybe not physically. If tattoos aren't your thing, they're not my thing. I don't have any. But adopt it as your way of life. This is what I've done in my very simple motto, and I might edit it over time. I might change it. That's cool. That's okay. That doesn't bother me at all because I am an ever-growing animal. I'm an ever-growing human animal who's just trying to figure out this world. So, anyhow, that's why I think you need a personal philosophy. It helps you weather the storm of life. If you like this video, if you found it, I don't know, mildly entertaining or informational, then please consider subscribing. And also, there's a like button somewhere there on the screen. It's kind of weird to ask that. Don't usually ask that in my videos, but what the hell, why not? I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk next time.